Welcome to Loose Lines and Warm-Ups. I'm just going to wait a few minutes to allow more people to come in. Hello, Mira. Thank you for joining. Loose Lines and Warm-Ups is I try to do this weekly, but depending on what allows with scheduling. But my whole thing is creating like a quick 30 minutes to do some sketching, to do some drawing. And my way of drawing is quite quick. I love keeping things quite loose, which is why I call it Loose Lines and Warm-Ups. And I'm inviting you to draw with me. So if you are a paid member, you'll have the references I'm going to be using today. But I thought that I will also just talk a little bit about some materials because I recently went to Prague and I went into the Kohinoor store, which is Czech brand. There's a lot of the Kohinoor products that people will be familiar with include things like they're really well known for doing their rainbow pencils. And if you were on my live a few back, like one of the first ones I did in the portrait series, I did a whole bunch of drawings with this rainbow pencil. And I know that many of you really were interested in this pencil. This is the one pencil to rule all rainbow pencils, okay? It's made by a Japanese company, but it isn't so easy to get hold of. So I haven't figured out if there are retailers in Europe, which retailers in the States or Canada may have them. But I know that in London, it's the store Choose and Keeping that I bought this from. So if you were previously looking at my loose lines where I used this pencil, we talked about it a little bit then. So I know Choose and Keeping in London is a stockist. I know Melissa Martin has purchased some from Japan when she was there last and is also a big fan. And honestly, I've never found one I like more. However, as I just mentioned, I was in Prague recently and I went into the Kohinoor store, which is famous for the magic pencils and the rainbow pencils. And I actually bought this tin. And I picked this tin up because it's not something that I've really seen in many retailers. I haven't seen it in the Bosner here in Germany. And I've used the chunky fat rainbow pencils, but I hadn't really got on with them because often what I thought you would get with them is you'd get like two colors that would come through on the page as you make the mark, but often the third or the fourth color, if there were that many, wouldn't really show up. So you'd get this weird sort of scratchy line that wouldn't be very satisfying, which is why I love the rainbow pencil from Choose and Keeping, because every single color in there really shows up on the page. Anyhow, I was interested in picking these multicolor ones up because I thought they might be easier to get hold of for more people. And if I just quickly show you, they are like a bit more of a palette of, I guess, a little bit more harmonious. So I thought that could be fun to try. I also picked up, well, for my kid, you know, it's the best thing about being into art materials is you can pretend that they're for your kid. But these double-sided color pencils, and they're great because they're really chunky, and I really enjoy like just using both sides. My favorite combination is usually red and blue. That's quite handy. But I've got those there. This one's also quite nice because it's got a pale color with a nice blue. But if you find this sort of thing, I recommend them because I think that they're really fun. So I already prepared a bit of a palette that I wanted to work with today, and I've got that little screen grab here. I was thinking I would use a Luminance Payne's Grey, Holbein Luminous Opera, and a Cretacolor Mega Light Grey. And I'll have that just on the page. So I wanted to start with that, but I might just mix it up with some of the rainbow pencils so you can just see whether you find them interesting as options for an alternative to the rainbow pencil that I love. So I'm going to flip over now And if you're with me, you'll have the references, and we're doing the last session on faces today, um, because these last 2 months have just been about focusing on drawing faces. So welcome, and let's begin. I'm going to flip. I really hope my reception stays well. Let me just turn this over. Apologies for the transition. Okay. Hi, Emma. I've just been wanging on about some materials, Emma, and so I've got some rainbow pencils to try. But I'm hoping that this is one thing I've noticed in my replays when I've sent them out is that the frame that I'm seeing on my camera, it feels as though it's not the same frame that gets recorded. So I find that all of the rubbish around the edge sometimes comes through. But this is the 3-color palette that I've just prepared, which you can see up there. I just talked briefly about these pencils, and I think it's quite nice just to see the combinations. They look quite fun. I don't really feel they've got the beautiful creaminess of the amazing rainbow pencil here, but it is what it is. So okay, let's begin. I'm going to just start with, am I going to be able to draw? My camera's quite low. Let me see if I can lift this up a bit. Yeah, lift this up a bit higher so my arm is in there. All right, so I'm going to do about 20 minutes of drawing. If you're also doing some drawing, welcome. Nice to draw together. I'll be able to see some comments coming up. But I wanted to just talk a little bit as well about drawing faces. It is one of those things which is very personal and individual, and that's kind of what I like about it. In the last couple of ones that I've done here, I tried to do like a different medium each time, just to help. What I find is helpful with that is that when you're kind of playing around with different mediums, when you're drawing people, it's nice to kind of try and find some kind of connective link with your style. I try not to think about style too much, is one thing I will say. Why? Because I think it can become a little bit debilitating. I think that sometimes what's really helpful is to just forget about style and just draw, and just trust that whatever it is that comes out from your drawing is your style. And I know it's a really uncomfortable thing sometimes, because we're always on a quest, aren't we? We're all looking for what our style is. And every time I try and look for it, I'm like, oh, is it this? Should I use this material? And I don't know. I just find that it can be really distracting to constantly be thinking about that when we're making work. I very much agree with something that Claire Powell said in one of her lives recently, where she talked about find your material and then you find your style. And I think that I love that idea, because then you can just really kind of focus on enjoying the material that you're playing with in the moment, and just letting that sort of lead the way in a way. And so I try and let the material be the thing that kind of speaks, and try and understand how I can work with that in a way, if you know what I mean. And I'm hoping that that's the thing that helps me to find my way of using that material. And I think then that sort of becomes your style. I've realized that when I work with any medium, I'm really interested in my lines feeling quite open and feeling quite relaxed. Sometimes they're quite graphic, and I think that that's where I've arrived to with this idea of loose lines. I just enjoy not being too detail oriented, and just enjoy the feeling of whatever that material wants to feel like on the page. So I guess from the recent lives that I've been doing, I wanted to demonstrate how I draw faces, but in different mediums. And then maybe the nice thing is, as a result, is you can sort of reflect back and see where the kind of common um, connective tissue is, like in terms of the way that you use that medium, if I'm making sense. So, yeah, I just wanted to start with this light gray. If I'm trying to work with a limited palette, what I try to do is get like 3 tones going. So I've got the sort of a neutral muted pencil, and then I've got my dark line, which is the Luminance Payne's Grey, and I chuck in a bit of an accent color for fun. So I've got the Luminous Opera from Holbein. And if I could just shed loads of money and buy all the Holbein pencils, I would, because they are amazing. I just love how they feel. So that's with my limited palette. When I'm using a rainbow pencil, it's quite nice to pick one. So I might try this one here for the next drawing. This one is there's a pink, a yellow, and red in there. Let me just scribble that here, and you can see the quality of that next to my favorite, which has got more colors in there, and every single one shows up like that. I mean, that is always going to be the dream pencil for me. But I wanted to just demonstrate some other ones because I feel like these might be easier to get hold of. If I'm honest, I'm not sure I'm getting 3 colors out of that. It just feels like yellow and red. So it's not that great. But I think if you pair something like that with a strong line and then something muted, that could give you, that can feel quite nice. So maybe that'll be what I try next. Hello, Beth. Yeah, pops of pink forever, always. So yeah, let me try one with that now. I've got a picture reference of a woman who is slightly 3/4 view looking to the side in that direction. So let me just try and map out how much space I've got, because classically I will often never fit things in the way things just don't fit on the page. So I'm trying to get better at that. And so if I just roughly figure out where she's going to fit, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll excuse me, I'll stick to this dark line here. Oh gosh, that feeling of the Payne's Grey on this really beautiful smooth paper. Can everyone see that okay? Is just so nice. This is the Pith Pomelo, which is the super smooth paper, and I love it. Bushy eyebrow in there. Mira, you have a question. Where do we get the Holbein pencils from? Haven't managed to find them anywhere in Central Europe. I purchased them from Jackson's a while ago. I don't buy from Jackson's that often because of, I try to just wait for when there is a bunch of stuff that I want. But if I just want 1 or 2 pencils, I tend to just not buy from Jackson's. I think Arte Miranda, which is based in Spain, is a retailer which I've had recommended to me. I've bought a couple of things from them, and I think they stock Holbein pencils, so they might be worth trying. So yeah, now I'm just gonna play with the rainbow pencil from the Kohinoor set that I just mentioned. And yeah, I think it's nice to combine. I find that with my favorite one, the see, this is broken already. I press too hard on. I press too hard on pencils, so I'm always breaking them. Apologies. Just quick sharpen. Yeah. Anyone else press too hard on pencils all the time? I'm just not delicate with any of my materials. Yeah, I was saying that with my favorite pencil, the Choose and Keeping one, I happily will just do like a whole page with just that one pencil because I just feel like it holds its own. But with these rainbow pencils that are more of a limited range, then I tend to prefer to combine them so that they're just like part of a palette rather than like the whole thing. So, and it's quite nice to always stick in a muted color with the rainbow pencil because it just gives it a little bit of balance, I find, which I really like. And these Cretacolor Megas, I've only seen them in sets. They feel really great on the page, and I like that chunky mark that's coming through. But I have to say, like, I don't use the whole set, so this is one of those that I wish I could find open stock, but I haven't found it yet. So if anyone knows open stock for the Mega Color Cretacolor range, let me know. Just checking the messages. Bye, Emma. Everyone's in last week's live said pure side profile is their least favorite, and I agree that it's the hardest. Yeah, it's really hard. But I like the 3/4 view because I kind of, yeah, that's what I kind of enjoy. So yeah, so that's a demo of one of these. The Magic Pencil's quite slim, so that's kind of a different experience from the fat ones that they have that are more for kids. But it's nice. Maybe now I'll try a blue one. Just check that's sharp enough. And am I zoomed in? Am I too far out? Let me just maybe zoom in a little bit more. Can I do that? I don't know if I can actually. Okay, I just hope you're not seeing lots of rubbish around the edge there. Let me go on to the next one. So next up in my images, I think I want to pick somebody with a little bit more accessorizing going on. So I'm going to go for a dude. Thank you, Carl, confirming that it's okay. I'm going to go for a dude who has a beanie on and glasses and a nose ring and earrings, also slightly 3/4 view. And so I love drawing people with glasses. I love it. Does anyone else find that tricky, or what do you think? Oh, I'm too high up the page. Okay, let me just ignore that. I'm too high up the page. I'm going to go lower down. Okay. Oh, you know, when the first mark you put down is already bad. Maybe I'll just do like I'll mix up the pencils now. So maybe we'll do it so that we've got like a little bit of the rainbow. I mean, see, that just looks blue. It doesn't really look rainbowy because you've got 3 tones of blue in there. I'm not sure it's giving me much. I'm not that excited about a rainbow pencil that pretends to be a rainbow or multi-toned, and then you work with it and it's just one color. I don't know. But that's all right. They were fun to have in the mix, and because I hadn't seen them before, I was keen to pick up something which felt like it was probably not as easy to get open stock, you know. So let's get this dude in. The chunky pencil, Barb. So this one is a just a Derwent pencil holder, and I'm using the Luminance Payne's Grey in there. The chunky ones I had earlier. Oh, you mean the Cretacolor? It's the Cretacolor. So the chunky pencil is the Cretacolor Mega Color. This particular one is light grey. I got it in a set, which I enjoy the set, but I don't really use the whole set because I find there's some colours that, there's a lot of colours in there. I'm really glad I have it, but I do wish I could get it open stock. That would be cool. So we have a classic hipster barista type dude with a very impressive beard coming up. Lovely soft eyes. And what I might do is, I love pink, blue, and the Payne's Grey. The Payne's Grey is just so nice because it's, I just find that it's just a really great option for line. Yeah, so he's got a really dark hat on, but it's just going to look like it's kind of blended in. So maybe I'll give him the hat, I'll make it a bit grayer, and then it just gives a bit more interest to the image versus what my photo reference has. Now the thing with beanies is that trying to get the shape so it actually looks like the skull is in there. I'll keep that quite rough, and I might just put a little bit of a stronger line in there. And then, yeah, let's get some of that pink going. I'm going to give him pink glasses, which I love. They're gold in the reference, but pink just looks nicer in my image. So I'm going with that. And yeah, he looks cool. I quite like him. Maybe I'll go back to this and give him the body. And then something I really like doing is I love just creating sort of an inverse frame, which is always fun. So I just wonder whether you'll get any more of a sense of whether this pencil has much tonal shift in it if I just cover more surface. So let me do that for you. See, it claims to have 3 tones. But if I'm laying down, if I'm honest, I don't really see that showing up on the page. So yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend these, to be honest. Don't rush out to buy them. If you see them and you have kids and you want to be playful and lighthearted and you just want to mess about, then fine. But if you're like, if you could choose between these and that, this one every time, that's worth hunting, and nobody I know has ever been disappointed with it. So if you have friends in the UK, if you have friends in London, if you're Europe based, just please ask them to go to Choose and Keeping for you and buy you some rainbow pencils. They are so good. And I also purchased from Kohinoor in Prague some of these wax aquarelle pencils, and I was interested in them because they sort of reminded me of the Stabilo Woody. So if anybody knows those, and also because I hadn't really seen these, so they're water soluble as well. I've been playing around with them a little bit. Top line, I wouldn't rush out to get them. They don't quite have the creaminess of a Stabilo Woody. They feel a little bit like Neocolor 2s, but Neocolor 2s are a bit nicer, I would say. So yeah, 2 purchases from Kohinoor, which I think are fine, but don't rush out to get them, is what I would say. So I might just do one more. because I really like how this has come out, this sketch. I'm quite pleased with that. So I've done two ladies, a young dude. Let me see, I've got so many images that I had saved. One of the things that I struggle with is trying to create a little bit more character. I do like drawing men's faces with all the shapes and the strong kind of angular, you know, like just the strength of like shape in a man's face. I really enjoy. So I'm going to do another dude. Maybe this time I'll use one of these. I mentioned that I do like a chunky pencil. It's just so satisfying to work with. So I'll do a bit of a red and blue combo maybe, just to mix it up a little bit. I'm just going to do a quick sharpen off camera. And yeah, let's do that. Something really satisfying just about being able to flip it around. Okay, so I'm gonna do another guy wearing glasses again. He's kind of got this raised eyebrow, which is really nice. And oh, yep. And then maybe I'll shift to red for the nose. I really like that nose is probably too small. I really like what do I like? Drawing and talking can be sometimes makes your brain just miss the wiring a little bit. But he's got really great shapes, this guy. I love the shapes of his face. It's really also quite satisfying when the colors overlay. I like that too. So maybe I'll just try and exaggerate a little. So, okay, so he's kind of got a side eye going on. So that's sometimes a little bit tricky because if you get the pupil in like not quite the right place, it can look a bit weird. So I want to get a bit more eyelid going on and this raised eyebrow up a bit more. Yeah. Maybe what I'll do is and again, he's got like really strong frame, really angular glasses. God, I love color pencils. I love color pencils so much. What is your favorite medium? Let me know in the chat, in the comments. I would love to know, like, is there something that you use and you're just like, oh, this feels so good? I'm just happy to be like feeling the movement of that medium on the surface of the page. It's just sometimes what it's all about. Just the creaminess of this is amazing. So, gosh, this guy is cool. This guy is cool. So we've got that going on. Now let me just figure out how I want to kind of communicate his profile. Yeah, let's get that in there. And then he's got this amazing hat. So is it weird to have the same color? I don't know. Let's just do that. Why not? But he does need an ear. Let's get an earring because otherwise that's going to be really weird. Let's get the ear going. Maybe I'll keep this overall quite angular. There's quite a lot of shadow on this image. And I haven't fit it on the page correctly. Classic. But that's okay. And maybe what I'll do, because again, the back of the neck sometimes can be a bit of a tricky one, because I want to be able to describe that he's got a certain posture. Yeah, okay. And what I'll do is I'll go back to this light grey and yeah, just get some of that energy on the page. Sometimes I feel like that's required, you know. It's just so nice to be able to just cover lots of space. So let's do that. And this time I'll suggest the frame with this color. Okay, this is definitely warming up. Oh, Beth, Inktense, are you talking the blocks or the pencils? Because I know you've got some blocks going on. I have to say, when it comes to like stuff that gets on the fingers, I sometimes lose patience with things that are too messy. So I tend to go for something in a pencil format, because I feel like I can just go a bit more loosey-goosey with it. Blocks, pencils, and now the little Derwent Intex palette. Oh yes, I saw you bought the palette. Is it the one where they? I know that they had one that was specifically urban sketches kind of focused, and they had quite urban colours in them that had that was sort of suited for urban sketching. If I'm making sense, or is it more of a primary palette? Maybe that's a bit high. Let me bring that down. Yeah, so there's my dude with the glasses. I wonder whether he just needs a little bit of grounding in the eye. And yeah. Oh yes, German sketchbooks that remind you of the pomelo. Kunst und Papier, is that the one? Because I again, I remember you talking about it, and I need to look them up, because it's always good to have sketchbook recommendations. So yeah, I mean, that's almost half an hour. There's loads more images. If you're part of my membership, you'll have access to all of them. I've got like a whole bunch now that are just great for practicing faces and playing with them. And because this is the last one in the series, maybe we'll just have a quick reflect. This warm up, I've been focusing on the color pencils, which is definitely my kind of relaxed place, my happy place, because it's really easy to squeeze in work with color pencils, you know, without needing to really do much of a setup. And I think if you're squeezing in your warm-ups in a pocket of time that's limited, then minimal setup is really, really helpful, right? Yesterday's live with Jason Chatfield and Adam Ming was up, and I just did this quick one. And yeah, I guess when it comes to faces, I really wanted to just like reflect a little bit as well, because something like this is with the Tombow markers, like it's from the same hand as this. And some of the things that I'm trying to figure out is how do I kind of, how do I want to translate the way that I draw faces into, you know, perhaps capturing things a little bit more immediately and a bit more live. And if you're still here, let me just share with you quickly this one, which I used with these pencils. You know, another demonstration of how, like, it's really fun to have these kids pencils that are double-sided, because you can just, yeah, this is a little quick self-portrait that I did of myself with these. And yeah, I love just the ability to just grab and go with that. And finally, oh, this is the, okay, this might be useful to see, because these are the rainbow pencils swatched out that are in this kit. And I know that many of you are like curious about them. You know, so you can kind of see that you do get some variation, like this green one's got the two tones coming through really well. This brown one is sort of fine. The dark green one, not sure if I'm that bothered. You know, and some of them just look like a single color rather than multicolor. So if that's helpful. And then a quick recap on the previous live that I did. I was using Chunky Woody pencil, and I was using Tombows. So, you know, maybe it's interesting for you to see examples of the way that materials can drive quite a lot of difference in the way that we work. And somewhere in the midst of all of that, I think there's some, yeah, connectivity with my style coming through. But yeah, I'd love to know if you have a preference. If you do draw faces often, do you have a preference with the way that you work with the materials? Yeah, let me know. I will send a replay out to everybody. I'll just quickly come back on. Let me turn this around. Just say thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you, Barb. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Beth, for coming in with your amazing material suggestions as well. I love drawing live, and I appreciate you being here. And if you're on my paid membership, you'll get all of the images every time I do it. I'm going to try and do it a bit more often. If you're on my free membership, you'll get all the replays, so there's no need to sign up to paid if you're happy to just join in with your own stuff. And yeah, hopefully coming up, we'll just make these quick things a bit more often. I also love it because it's a nice opportunity just to talk about materials and anything that I've bought without having to like do a whole video and stuff. So if I have those, anything new to share, I'll share those in the lives as well, so that if you have the replay, you can also see that. We're coming to the end of portraits time and faces time. I have got some really in-depth videos in my paid membership, which help you to think about, if you want to do your own project, how you might do that around faces. Next 2 months, June and July, are going to be, geez, it's half the year already. It's going to be all about food. So watch this space. I'll share some information about that soon, and have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.